Welcome to Rev Up Your Potential with Hilda Gann, the podcast where entrepreneurs, business leaders, and HR professionals share tips, strategies, and trends in their area of expertise. They also talk about their successes and struggles along their career and business journey. If you love to learn through storytelling and find people fascinating, join us. Welcome to Rev Up Your Potential with Hilda Gann. Today, my guest is Dan Rogers. He is the founder and co-owner of rxRecourse. He is a coach. He brings on online training from a health perspective, and his target is helping corporations. Welcome, Dan.
Thank you for having me, Hilda.
Well, thanks for being here. You're one of my earlier episodes in this year, so it may well be February now by the time we're talking about this. And everybody's created a New Year's resolution about what they want to do for their health. And by February, maybe that's waned a bit. But let's start by talking about your business and who you are. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
So I am a coach by trade, strength conditioning coach, and that's gravitated towards a variety of things. But we are a health and wellness company that goes into corporate settings to try and provide some support for human resources, a president, a CEO, a general manager, so that their employees are healthier and more well. And so we do that in a variety of different ways. Workshops are one of them. We're part of town halls on a weekly basis with some groups. We run challenges. We have a lot of nutritional support, and we're just trying to help people become better. And that comes up in a variety of different ways. We're doing that in the corporate setting, and that's what we're doing day to day.
And I think for companies now, it is so important. In a McLean study on HR trends for 2022, they said that creating a positive employee experience now is number 2 after recruiting. And that's gone up from number 5 in 2021 because people want to really feel important and valued. And your role in terms of creating health and wellness is really up there. And companies really should be thinking about putting budget into health and wellness. What do you think about that concept? Of course.
Absolutely, yes, I agree. And the thing that I've learned over the last 2 years is that it's actually a recruiting tool. So if you say that you have a program existing in place, it can attract talent. And if you have really good talent, it can retain talent. So those two things for company hiring are big things that we lean on in our consults and our just conversations. Also, yes, we're talking about the things that other people and other companies have done before me, which is employee satisfaction, so that they're happier at their workplace, that they're more productive, that they're maybe more creative, if that's the case in a situation at work, that there's more unity amongst their group, there's better teamwork, there's more advocating for each other as coworkers and human beings. And there's all the team building type benefits with which I'm very familiar with from my sports background and my coaching background that we try to land in the corporate setting so they can reap the benefits of it. And we are in line with the study, and we're just trying to spread the good word to as many people as we can.
What have you noticed significant changes when you come into an organization and present a kind of health and wellness package to help a particular company?
We're not doing easy things when we ask somebody to start to get active. That's a very tough task for a lot of people to do. It's not easy to change your diet to be something that's sustainably healthy, and it's not easy to change your mindset. I think that's one of the biggest things that we find a little resistance to. I've dealt with resistance for all three of these things for many years, 20,000 plus hours of coaching. My staff are very experienced with helping people get on the other side of it. So some conversations, and we're finding that we're getting people to live happier lives even outside of their work. So we're talking about the hours after work that we're getting organized for a lot of employees and helping them be feeling supported with in terms of finding joy, finding happiness, being well, so that when they land back at work, they're a better version of themselves. So it's not just that Monday to Friday 9 to 5 hour that we look at. We are looking at these people knocking off, saying, hey, this is really what I'd like to do on the weekend. We make sure that they do it. They check in with us that they did it. They're now happier employees, and they're happy with their company for having had us come in and work with them. So those are a small example, but those are some things that we're seeing as some positive results.
One of the things I found, like, when I was, when we first landed into COVID, hard to believe it's almost been 3 years. I kept thinking, I'm trying to help people create healthy work cultures, positive environments. And I'm saying it's not impossible to change. You think your work culture is not that good, you still have the power to make a difference. And I was advocating for companies to really build healthy work cultures so that the staff will want to stay post COVID 3 years later. What I didn't predict was we would be in COVID and the stresses of and this kind of hybrid work environment or no work for 3 years, and that during that time, people would realize that self and the value of self was more important than a job, or to balance work was more important. And I think this is what a role that you can help play in an organization.
Absolutely. There was a lot of things going on that at face value we knew was not good. Obviously the, camaraderie that exists in a workplace when you see the same people every day and you build some momentum internally, you're working on projects and all these things are going on, you're going out for team lunches and team dinners. Gone. No more. Okay, it's going to be a couple weeks, who knows? And then things escalated to be a couple years. And this isolation, the impact of isolation, the impact of, not seeing a person and reading their body language, not being able to have a sidebar in person, not having those connections, that really showed itself, which I didn't think a lot of people maybe gave as much weight to because they're buried in work.
Mhm.
And so now we're seeing that people are eager to get back to work. They're eager to indulge in some health and wellness programs, and they're wanting to take better care of themselves and wanting to find connections with their coworkers through health and wellness programs because they unknowingly, well, they knowingly now, but they see how much of an impact it's had on their well-being in a negative way, and they want to get on the other side of it. So we're seeing some positive uptake in what we're offering.
Great, great. Thank you. Uh, l- let's talk a little bit about your build up to this business. What did you do prior to that, starting this company?
So I'm a former owner with my wife of CrossFit Streets, and that was a gym in Mississauga. So we were a strength conditioning gym that provided a variety of different services for the Meadowville, Mississauga, and surrounding areas. And we would do group classes, personal training, nutrition programs. We had a chiropractor and physio running out of there. Specialty programs. So specialty programs would be like a barbell class or a kettlebell class or a variety of other things, ladies only, and things like that. Team training. We'd have sports teams, corporate teams coming in. We trained EMS. You name it. We did a lot of stuff, and I was proud of what we accomplished. And the lockdowns came along and threw a wrench into that, and we decided in 2021 to, you know, we had rxRecourse and CrossFit Streets operating at the same time, and we decided to go in a direction of doing rxRecourse full time. But those experiences and the relationships there are invaluable. They're things I reminisce about on a daily basis. To be honest, the things that happened at the gym, the experiences that people had, how they found out about themselves through being in groups and being active and taking better care of themselves, and that I was able to create an environment for that was something I am very proud of. And it's experience in coaching too. So it afforded me some opportunities to coach a variety of different ages, occupations, everything, and it afforded me an opportunity to going into corporate, I think, be suited as a coach with my experience to be able to handle a group that might be, a 21-year-old young employee that's coming into the job for the first time, and then a 55-year-old who's been on the job for a while, and be able to find common ground to help them work better together. So I enjoy those experiences. It was amazing times when it was going, sad when it was on the way down and or closing, And
Yeah.
but oh, it's a great memory.
What was that final decision? Like, yeah, I can imagine, a thriving a facility, and then COVID hit, and we were all on lockdown, and no one was coming through the doors. What was that final deal breaker that says, "Hey, we gotta shut this down. This is crazy. We can't continue."
We there was no guarantee moving forward that we wouldn't go into personal debt.
Yeah,
We're
yeah,
fine to operate in the way that we were, but the things that were happening in the back end from Tara and I's perspective as a business, there was no way to guarantee in 6, 12, 18 months that once you opened that you're going to go on an upward trajectory as a business and be able to recoup what were losses during lockdown. We were not making the revenue we
yeah,
were, so that
yeah,
was
yeah.
common with other places. So it was a hard decision to come to, and it took me a while to make this decision, and we made it on a long road trip, 3 hours there, 3 hours back, going to Sarnia. And I said, you know what, we have to. That was one thing. So the back end stuff, which is a business decision, and the other part was I just personally didn't. I had to do some self reflection, and I just didn't have it in me to start up from the ground up again for that type of business. I didn't have the enthusiasm that I had 7 years ago to restart the same business from the ground up with no guarantees that it was going to be what it was when we closed down in 2020 in March. And it's not that we couldn't have, it's not that we wouldn't have. It's just I did some soul searching and I said, I'm going to invest my expertise, my experiences, my care, my energy into a project that I've never accomplished before, rxRecourse, doing the online health and wellness, and other projects. And I'm going to give everything I have there and see if I can have success in some other different areas in my life. I'm only 38, and I felt like, I talked to other people that own businesses as well, and they had owned multiple businesses. And there's not a shelf life, but it's okay to transition into a new project. You're going to be fine. Stop dwelling on it. And so I had some support there with some mentors and
Yeah.
consults, and kind of built up, I would say, the confidence, anyways, to make the decision. But make no doubt about it, Hilda, it still to this day is, and probably will be for a long time, and until something else comes up. The hardest decision I've had to make, and I wake up some mornings and I think I still have the gym, and I don't. It's not a reoccurring
It was
nightmare
in
that
your DNA. It was in your
I
DNA.
I will coach until I'm not able to, see, speak, and walk and stuff. I'm going to coach the rest of my life, and I've told everybody that. And if I won $10 million on Friday or whenever lottos are, I will coach on Monday. I love coaching. And it wasn't about the fact that I didn't love coaching or that I don't love coaching. It was about the rebuilding of the business. That is a strenuous, I am talking with coaches after hours for multiple unpaid hours and multiple different things. I'm the person to cover the hours on Saturday if a coach is sick. And it wasn't that we had that every single Saturday, but it was just there was multiple things I wasn't willing to go back to. I just didn't have it in me anymore. And it's not to say that I don't like the gym. I love gyms. I advocate for tons of gyms of friends of mine and things like that. And it's a great space to do a lot of amazing things. I personally didn't want to be at the helm with that type of business. And so I wanted to be at the helm with what I'm doing now, rxRecourse, and growing that to its capacity.
So, what's the difference between coaching in a gym facility and coaching through your RX recourse?
I feel like I get more. I broach the conversation with people that are online, saying, "Listen, I'm with you all the time. So we have applications that allow us to have contact with our RX Recourse members that we did not have with or in gym. So a person comes into the gym, I see them for an hour, I give them everything I have. We have a great session, excellent workout. They learn something, they feel better. Have a good rest of your 23 hours until I see you again. I have no idea if they're eating correctly. I have no idea if they've, spent time with their kids. Is that being a thing they communicated to bring them joy? I have no idea about any of the other things unless they communicate to me the next time I see them, or I might not see them for 5 days. and I send them emails and I send them stuff through our software. I say, "Hey, what's going on, Bill? Where are you? And how are you doing? Are you alive? Like, I miss you." All these different things. We did all this stuff. rxRecourse has an application with which I'm more in constant contact with the clients that I take on one-on-one and in corporate. We have FaceTime that is asking questions. I would say, and the intent of the session is to pursue not just a fitness session, but a better life and being a better version of yourself. And that comes in the gym as well, but that's like the conversation is starting on a different point, and there's more touch points I find versus in the gym.
One of the things that the name of our session of our podcast is rev up your potential. And as I share with you and now share with the audience, rev up stands for a set of principles that was a success story of creating a healthy work culture for our company. Respect, equality, valued, uniqueness, and potential. And we were talking earlier, you talked about the word potential in my rev up principles, and that potential resonated with you. Do you want to share what potential means to you when you're coaching and supporting your teams and clients?
It honestly comes from other coaches that I've had over the years, hockey coaches, strength and conditioning coaches, and they have been able to express to me that they believe in me and they believe that I'm capable of great things. And not that I did thought poorly of myself or anything like that, but it was just having a person who believed in me that I could reach all the happiness that I wanted in my life and reach all the financial goals, reach all the fitness goals, reach all the relationship, reach everything you ever want. You have the potential for that. So people believed in me, and I feel like that's part of the conversation with potential. But for potential, a lot of the interactions I have with people who are youth athletes, who are in corporate, who are anything, any sort of client or team, is that how I am today, that's just it. That's me now. If I am the weight that I'm at, say I'm 200 pounds, I'm 200 pounds for forever. If I eat these certain foods, that's what I eat now forever. If this is my current activity habit, that's just me now. I'm this now for the next 20 years. And I'm an advocate, an ambassador for thinking, no, you can be a better version of yourself. You don't have to be anything uh, uh, to match a person beside you, but you versus you can be a way better version of yourself with effort over the course of the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, and you can turn yourself into this completely transformed version of yourself. And I think that not enough people believe that. They don't have enough people believe that they have the potential to be better.
So how do you help them? How do you help those people who don't feel that they believe in themselves enough, or they believe in what your message is to
Well,
reach that potential?
it's a conversation about what they want in this life. So what do you want? What are the things that bring you joy? Why are you doing the things that you're doing? How are you spending time when you have it's free time, you can do whatever you want. How are you spending your time there? What are you pursuing? Who are you hanging out with? What are your behaviors? What are your habits? And just assessing and say, this is what it currently is. And that's not to, you're never putting anything down. You're just saying, this is where we land. This is where we're starting. But what do you want it to be? And asking questions and asking questions and asking questions. And then from that, we get some things that are pulled out that it's information that I keep track of, and I pull them back into conversation. I said, is the thing that you did on the weekend or this week, does that match what we talked about with where you want to go? I didn't say that I wanted to, play pickup basketball on Fridays and that I wanted to have a date night with my wife and that I want to work out 3 days a week. That wasn't me. That was you. So are we getting those things set up? And I'm just keeping them accountable through check-in calls, through like I said, the platform that we have, through asking more questions. And that's some of the one-on-one stuff. And with corporate groups, it's the same thing. It's a little bit broader conversation, I would say sometimes, but asking some questions and following up in one-on-ones. And that's just the nitty-gritty stuff of coaching, I find. You can have a POW presentation, it's got everything, and that's great, but there's also a couple of things sometimes where we need to do some follow-ups and just have some quick conversations to make sure people are doing the right things and have some check-ins, and they forget. I mean, people forget for two, if you don't check in with them for a couple weeks or 3, 4 weeks, they may forget about that. So having that kind of, I call it insulation on the way there. And then once they're there, we're good. We can just have less check-ins. But when people need to make some changes and they're looking for some guidance there, that's where we're at to help them reach their potential.
One of the things that you and I have talked about as we've had some conversations, I shared with you that I was having a hip problem, and you were giving me advice on what to do. And not only were you giving me advice, you continued to say, "Hey, Hilda, here's some other ideas for you. Here's some exercises that you can do." And you and I had not created like, I'm hiring you to be my trainer, or my person that's going to help me with my mobility issues. And I found that very heartening, because for me, you were doing this out of the goodness of your heart, of trying to help a fellow entrepreneur potential. And I said, "Thank you, Dan, for all of this extra stuff that you're doing." He says, "But that's who I am. That's just who I am." And I really felt, wow, this person is really out to help their client, whoever that is, and go above and beyond, and really support, motivate, guide, and nurture people to reach that potential. That's what I heard when you and I had this kind of dialogue going back and forth in terms of helping me with my mobility.
It's true, and so part of me coaching the staff members and other coaches when I was in person at my gym is, you know, people don't care what you know until they know you care. And
I
that's
like
an
that.
old
Mhm.
adage,
Yep.
but that's, there's I have 100 of those from hockey. So, but that's a big one. And I find that the more there's different people um, feel your care differently.
Yeah.
So because I'm doing this, that what you just explained for you might not be a thing that shows care for somebody else. And
Mm.
it resonates with a lot of people, most people, but some would be, turned off by that. So having a little bit of a sense of the person and how you're going to be able to interact with them to be able to help them out, that comes from experience and coaching. I
Yeah.
have that.
Yeah. Yeah.
I had that for me. So I'm great. I have a duty and a responsibility, I think, for my time on earth to pay forward the things that have been, bestowed, for lack of a better term, to me in this life. And I like seeing people. The world's full of joy. There's lots of great things. Even in the middle of lockdowns, there's still sunshine. Even in the middle of whatever's happening globally in any decade, there's still good things going on. All my dad actually, I'll quote my dad, I never do, but anyways, he was at a wedding for a lot of young people, and he said, there's a lot of things going on that are not great right now, and there's a lot of worry and angst, but tonight can be enjoyed. Tonight's perfect. So just be here and tonight. And I live my day like that. And I try to spread that. And I try to have people kind of just realize that even though you have an injury, even though you may not be in your best shape, you might not be your best self mentally, you might not be great with nutrition, you can be. And you have to take it today. Let's work on today. Be present with what we're doing in the day. Let's work on tomorrow. Let's be present tomorrow. Not worry too much about stuff, and have somebody in your corner. I'd be coaching tomorrow if I won the lottery. Hilda, I tell you that with a full heart.
What is it about coaching that you like to do? What what
So
what drives you there?
yeah, I mean, I've seen the impact it's had on people being able to get to what is a really happy and joyful life. So some of my coaches from in-person gyms have gone on to coach and now own their own gyms. And then they have a flock. And I think our inherent ability, because we get credentials and courses and certifications, all that stuff, cool. But also bringing more joy and happiness and having people be well is good for society. Like that's good for the people you care about close to you in your life. It's good to be around. It's positive vibes. It's all good stuff. So I want to create more of that. And I feel like coaching other coaches, coaching corporate, coaching youth, coaching in general allows me to have my own stamp on my flock and on my community and on my clients and on my teams. and it's just a better place to be. And I want to try and spread that as much as I can. I feel like I have an influence of that stuff when I get to be in front of people and spread, the positive energy and things like that. And it's not just fake positive energy. I don't do that. I do it in a way that I hope comes across as authentic, and I hold people accountable. So I do that as well. But I do it in a way coaching that is, and it brings me satisfaction that I'm able to accomplish that. So I feel like an amount of satisfaction on my longest day of coaching, where I'm the most exhausted. There's still a smile because there's been an impact, and I want to make an impact. I don't know what it is, but there's probably some sort of something that happened along my life, childhood and all that stuff, but I want to have an impact, and I feel like I can, and I've seen it happen, and I just want to replicate it in as many ways as possible.
Well, I appreciate that you have a desire to make an impact, and I certainly have been a recipient of that impact. Can you share a piece of advice that you would give to the listeners? What's that one piece of advice you'd love to share that everybody should know?
You know what? I think in the conversation of being selfish is a negative term. Being selfish, you're selfish, but you have to take care of yourself first. If you take care of yourself first, with your own wellness, your own practice. That could be 5 minutes a day, it could be longer. But if you take care of yourself first, you're going to be better able to take care of all the people that you love and do all the other things that you have as responsibilities in your day. So I'm a huge advocate for individuals to take care of themselves first. Prioritize what works for you best for your wellness practice every day. So you're whole, so you're working, trending in the right direction, so you're, becoming a better version of yourself. Number one, without the guilt of it feeling like it's a negative, selfish act. It's actually the most loving thing you can do, because then when somebody that loves you needs you, you're going to be able to help them because you've taken care of yourself first. I think it's like the oxygen mask on an airplane, on a daily basis. So that's one. There's more tips I have here. I don't know how much you want me to dive into that, but that's one of the things that I wanted to make mention to the audience, that in terms of health and wellness, it's super hard. You might not be active and you're trying to get active. You might not be eating well and you're trying to eat well. You might have a bad mindset with like internal dialogue and you're trying to rectify that. So taking care of wherever the gaps are in that health and wellness spectrum for you first is going to allow you to, feel better within your own skin with your time on earth, but it's also going to allow you to take care of people you care about a lot better.
I think that's such sage advice, and I've been on a journey of self-care and my self-care, because I've always thought of other people first, and I come kind of second. And I remember telling somebody what I did for myself, and I called it a guilty pleasure. And then they said, "No, no, no, Hilda, that is deserved, and you should enjoy it, and that you should take the word guilty out of it because you shouldn't." And you use that word guilty as well. So I really appreciate that advice. Uh, Tell us what's next for you. What's your next project or the next event that's happening for you and rxRecourse?
I feel like I have a bonfire going with all the woods in the fire right now. So I have a lot of different things that are on the cusp of landing for some corporate contracts. And we're extremely grateful for former team leaders and members and clients and things like that helping us with referrals. So those things are on the horizon in terms of us attaining and then retaining our corporate contracts. That's a big thing for us, is if we can get a team of anywhere between 10 to 100 and a corporate team, help them with health and wellness in a variety of different ways. Like, it comes up in different ways. We're then going to be able to help individuals one on one from there. So we're looking for and looking forward to in 2023, just continuing to go on the path of client acquisition and to do our absolute best with every interaction that we have with those groups. We're doing. We have great coaches on staff. One of which is doing an excellent job with nutrition, and she is doing it in a way that it's fitting into the lifestyles of busy corporate employees. And so we're doing a really good job of being able to communicate what that looks like, to everybody we interact with in the corporate setting. So it's not your regular nutrition help where here's a piece of paper, do this for a month and then see you later. It's a different style, and others are doing it too. But those are two big things: client acquisition, keep helping them and coaching them, workshops, challenges, and other services, and then having ourselves emphasize nutrition and the fact that we have excellent coaches that are leading the ship with that.
Well, I know that you're really moving along and giving all these opportunities. And as I said, the McLean report said that number 2 for 2022, and I don't think this should change for 2023, is creating a better employee experience. So those companies that are becoming more people-centric will see the successes of that. More engaged staff, more retention, more productivity as a result of healthier people. And so those companies that are bringing on mental wellness awareness, health packages to really promote are really going to have the fruits of those efforts. So thank you for sharing what you do and sharing some tips and strategies, and the focus that we should be helping our people, our employees, be the best versions of themselves, as you say. So how do people get a hold of you, Dan? What's the best way to get a hold of you and your organization?
I'm on LinkedIn, probably too much, but I'm on LinkedIn. My name is Dan Rogers. I'm the owner of rxRecourse, so you can find me there. But we have our handles for social media for LinkedIn and Instagram at rxRecourse. We've got our website, rxrecourse.com. You can email us, info@rxrecourse.com. And those are the methods with which we typically have had people get in contact with us. And yeah, we thank you, Hilda. Thanks for all that you do as well. I mean, we're in this a similar space, and you have lots of this similar intentions with how we approach with the groups that we work with, and we should get it. I don't know if people come on your podcast and say thank you, but I'm just saying thanks for all the stuff that you do too.
Well, they do. They do. And I'll just make one side note here. The R with the X below, the nurse in me has to look at that and say, R with an X is actually prescription. And that's what you're doing. You're giving a prescription to help people. So thank you very much for joining us today. It's been a pleasure. And for those of you who have joined us, and if you like this episode, give us a like, because that really helps. And if you find people like Dan interesting, I've got other guests that you will find interesting. So do subscribe and find some of the people that will share their stories about their lives and give you tips and strategies on various aspects of their expertise. So thanks again, Dan, for joining us. Thank you, audience, for listening to our podcast today. Thank you for tuning in to Rev Up Your Potential with Hilda Gann. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe to our podcast on YouTube and Spotify to stay up to date on our latest episodes. For HR tips, news, and strategies, or if you're interested in being a guest on our podcast, visit our website at peoplebrightconsulting.com.